So I'm going to take a second to talk about our mixing service. What happens on this particular mixtape, there's a deadline, and I've done 4 songs in 3 days right now. And this is, what's incredible is the gentleman that sent me this stuff, he started with the right stuff. He had the Pro Tools HD rig, great microphones, went to another studio to get something done, went to another studio to get something done. So these are really high quality recordings. And what happens with this is, in this situation, I do these all day for 150. All day long. There's the instrumental on the first track, and then you have the beat, the vocals on another track. Now, here was the chorus on 3. Here was a verse, ad-libs. These are auxiliaries that I made. Here's a delay, another ad-lib, then a dub, which was sort of like a stereo delay. Then there's an aux off of that. So we're working together as a team. So when you're new to recording and you're doing everything yourself, the greatest artists realize that there are great people out there that can benefit your recording. So today in the morning I went over to my buddy Freddie's. That he's got an amazing studio, and he has a rack full of 1176s and LA 3As, and there was this song called Dreamin', and I was sitting there, and instead of being lazy, you know, when somebody's paying me well, I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to go the next step. I drove 45 minutes to his studio. We went through and we stemmed his chorus through the LA 3As that he has in his studio, and it became humongous. Exactly what I wanted. I tracked it back in through a console, and then came back in and brought it into the Pro Tools session. When I got back to my spot, I can line it back up. On the instrumental, I'm running the massive passive and the MU. And those two together, and I run them unbalanced and then balanced. It's a weird thing, but it just shoots the gain up. And it does it in a way that these vacuum tubes and this EQ is known for. It is such an amazing sounding EQ that it just tightens and focuses everything. Now I have a bed for the vocal. So now all that muffle and muddiness is cleaned up and taken care of in the EQ section. Now I can change the gain with the MU. And what I'll do is, I got the side chain installed. I've owned this thing before they actually had that, and it was just in there. So I had to get it installed. But when we do that, now for these hip-hop tracks, I can let the bass run through. I can let the bass be the bass. And in situations like this, what I'm doing is trying to even the bass in the mid-range and even the highs with the mid-range. So there's a lot of EQing, and a lot of times when it comes with a great recording, it's a lot less work because I'm trying to complement what's already done. In this particular song, the session was sent to me. In the other ones, it was the stems of the session that was sent to me. So in this particular one, I had effects to go off of what these guys were trying to achieve. Now, here's a cool thing. On this one, the chorus was bussed through the DBXs, because the chorus needs to be raw and really, not muffled, but just tight compression and very very brief on this. And it's a gentleman talking about it's almost like if a dude was talking to another dude in jail. It's like muffled. You have this environment that I'm trying to make of this conversation. So it's like painting a picture when you mix. And I can't let you listen to the song, and I apologize because it's not copyright or anything, and I can't do that. That's, you know, this could be major label, and then I get in trouble. So I can't do that. But I can't explain to you what I'm doing. The next thing I did was, his voice is inherently big in the low end. So as an engineer, I wanted to capture the low end with a multi-band. So I grabbed the lower end frequencies and I grabbed them and I held on to them. And this trick came from Maserati, where he was like talking about this on a video, and I was like, wow, man, I never even thought about that. So I started utilizing that trick. So if you say you don't learn anything from somebody else and you know everything, then you're wrong. I mean, the greatest engineers in the world are still learning to this day. So I got it to sit very well with the low mids in the song, so it's just like one piece of that song, and it's really easy to listen to and fun to listen to. And plus, the energy of that vocal, the lower end vocal, is what we need in this song. A lot of engineers, when they first start, they will cut out all the lows and think that that's the trick. If you listen to like a Lil Wayne album, you'll notice a lot of the lows are cut because Lil Wayne has a mid-range voice. He doesn't have a lower end voice. That part of his voice isn't that great. So they'll concentrate where the best part of Lil Wayne's voice is. You know, Jay-Z, on the other hand, has a full voice. So what they do is compress that down and let you hear all that energy in this given space, and give him a sharp, nice attack on his voice. I've noticed that they give a lot of 3K to his voice. They give him punch. A lot of solid state is going on there, and I think that's his sound. The other thing is every rapper is different, so there's no such thing as just one plug-in that works for this guy and one plug-in that works for that guy. That doesn't happen. What I do in the mix is I try to keep it as normal, as I guess pleasing as possible, because when you start adding effects, I'm a big fan of automation with effects. A lot of things when this session runs, you'll notice that, well, you're not going to notice because I'm not going to run it, but the automation between the faders, and why I like the Control 24 in the studio, is it gives me a hands-on approach of automating, and I love that instead of the mouse. That is like one of the main reasons I have this mixer, is because I can actually automate it and throw stuff and listen to the vibe of the song instead of looking at the monitor and becoming visual. That really does make a difference, by the way. If you're just, you know, got your head down listening to the automation of the effect, you can really get more precise with it. And if you notice here, let me show you this. I can't, you want me to do this with a mouse? This is ridiculous. I'm not going to do this with a mouse. Check this out. 1 minute, 1 minute. Look at the bottom. Look at that automation on the bottom. There is no way that I'm going to do that. That was a reverb effect to calm down certain parts of the vocal. So I listened to the vocal parts on each individual rapper, and then I compensated at certain parts where I wanted it to sound bigger or more room, and go back and forth with it. And it gave it like it almost gave it like its own little space between the artists, and it filled up the song because it was a actual deverb kind of reverb going on. Very cool. So with this all being said, let me break down everything in the minute drill, because I got 1 minute. Number one, the Manly, since this is a 2-track instrumental, like I said, I do these for 150 all day long because we can make them sound great. When you run the beat through that massive passive in that Manly MU is something incredible. I mean, that is one of the best chains you can get. In between is the back EQ. That is actually signal chained in the patch bay with the top Focusrite. So the liquid channel is getting its help from the EQ on the backs. Phenomenal on vocals because it doesn't take away from the character of the vocal, and it really does its job. The backup vocals are going through the other Focusrite. In this session, I have the chorus going through the DBXs, which really wouldn't be my first choice, but this song, it worked. So this is mixing. $150 for a 2-track instrumental in your vocals is a killer deal. And you know what? Thank God for it, because, you know, people are happy with my service and I love doing it. So, later.